This is a follow-up to a video I published a few weeks ago on a piece of lab-created ruby. And here's the link to that video if you're interested and want to take a look at that one and see how this one is related. So a few weeks ago, I was examining my stock of lab-created corundum, looking to cut a nice ruby for BOPIE'S. She's working on a piece of jewelry and wanted a lab-created ruby. So I have two reddish half bowls of lab-created corundum. And for that previous video, I decided to use the darker red half bowl, which was called number 7 red synthetic corundum. BOPIE, my wife, was very happy with the ruby gemstone that I cut from that half bowl. But as I did tell you in that video, that I would probably come back later and cut another gemstone from this lighter half bowl. The bowl is called Cranberry corundum, just so that BOPIE and I could compare the two gemstones for future reference and kind of get an idea of what we have in stock. So I had purchased the Cranberry corundum from the late Jeff Graham many years ago, and so I don't know where you can get this color at today, but I'm sure it's available. Also, just as an update, in the previous video, I also showed you an abnormally formed bowl of pink sapphire corundum. In that science project gone wrong, a giant blob of a bowl was created, and I bought that also from Jeff Graham many years ago, and I've been holding on to that piece of rough for a long time, just never got around to cutting it. So as I asked in the last video, I'll ask again if there's any ideas on what to cut that piece of rough into. I want to cut a large pink sapphire out of it because you can't get bowls of that size unless some kind of accident happens in the lab. So that piece really needs to become a large pink sapphire of some type. So if you have any ideas, just let me go. I've kind of come up with a fair idea of what a design that I might use, but I'll wait to hear from y'all. But that's for a future video. So for our Cranberry corundum, I'll use the same design that I used for the number 7 ruby. And at that time, I had decided to cut a rectangle design called standard oblong step cut with cut corners. So that way I use the same design. BOPIE and I and all of you can compare the two gemstones and decide what you think of the two colors of the corundum. So here are the cutting information, cutting instructions for that design, just so you don't have to search all over the web. If you recall from the previous video, cutting the ruby, I did examine the performance of this gem cutting design in Gem Cut Studio, or GCS, and found that for corundum, this design has a very, very high brightness. So if I cut this Cranberry corundum, or I guess more appropriately Cranberry sapphire, correctly, it should be very bright indeed. I have already trimmed off a piece of the Cranberry sapphire, and I used 2-part epoxy to attach it to the dop stick. I have shown you how to do those tasks in previous videos. So to set it up as a emerald shape, you set the tooth of your index gear at 96, and you put the stone into the spindle with the kind of long sides horizontal to that 96 tooth. Then you tighten the set screw, and we're ready to cut, preform our corundum. And I'll use a 100 grit copper. 100 grit's pretty aggressive, but corundum is a very hard stone, so I think I'll be okay with 100 grit. It'll preform the stone rather quickly. Okay, the 100 grit toppers made pretty quick work out of our Cranberry corundum in preforming it. So now I'll move to probably a 300 series topper and do some final preforming, some more preforming, and then go to the 600 grit lap. So to clean my rougher laps, like this 100 grit, what I do is I spin it, put a lot of water drip, and then I use lava soap. Just get a good, probably a 1200 RPMs, and pass over it from the inside to the out 3 times. And then just increase my drip pretty fast. And then I spin dry the lap. And spin drying the lap, make sure that there'll be no rust on it as I put it away until the next time I need this lap.
Hi, it's me again, your favorite designer, Bopie. Merry Christmas, y'all. And I knew you were busy, but I couldn't wait to show you my latest creation. A couple weeks ago, Michael cut this beautiful emerald cut lab created ruby. It was so pretty, we had to find a unique pendant. And here you are. By the way, you're probably wondering why I have used yellow gold instead of white gold. It's simply because the color of red, such as a ruby, gives you a richness in yellow metal. One more thing. Does it look like Eiffel Tower to you? Back to Michael's video, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Okay, I finished polishing the pavilion bottom half of our Corundum, or Cranberry. So I was going to use my 60,000 grit diamond on a bat lap, but I went ahead and used my 100,000 grit diamond on a bat lap. I've got this Pandemonium 100,000 grit stick, and you can see I just haven't ever used it. So first time I used it, it polished up great after the good pre-polish with the 13,000 grit diamond on the bat lap. So now I'll go back in and cut in the corners of our facets. Okay, I finished cutting in and polishing the corners of our pavilion of our Cranberry Corundum. So now I'll transfer the stone and we'll cut the upper half. Okay, I finished polishing the upper half of our Cranberry Corundum. So I just have the table left to polish, so I'll set up our table adapter so we can cut and polish the table. I finished polishing the table of our Cranberry Corundum, so now I will soak it in the acetone and remove it from the dop and send it off to Bopie after I weigh it and measure it, and she'll compare it, and I'll compare it with the other Corundum ruby, that bowl that we used, and see which one we like better. The standard oblong step cut with cut corners is a classic gem cutting design that's been used for a very, very long time. And using Gem Cut Studio, I was able to analyze the performance of this design. And for Corundum, as I said earlier, it has a lot of sparkle according to GCS. And if you look at the final gemstone, I think you'll agree, there's a lot of sparkle there. Bopie and I both agree that the darker red is a great color for ruby, and that this cranberry color is what we would call more of a pink sapphire, or maybe I guess a cranberry sapphire. Both stones turned out great, so the design is definitely a keeper, and I've got a stock of 2 half bowls that I can use for the future. The design, a standard oblong step cut with cut corners, is appropriate for cutters of all skill levels, and in my opinion, a brand new cutter would have no problem cutting a gemstone with this design, maybe even Corundum. Let me know in the comments what you think of our Cranberry Sapphire, and as always, happy fasting, everyone.